All right, welcome to this daily horoscope for Tuesday, May 5th. My name is Athen. Let's go and look at the moon for today. Start things off. So the moon is shifting into Scorpio. There's definitely a shifting of energies taking place. We're still in this full moon energy, so the energies are high. I think it still is very much about this Libra energy, especially if you're in Europe or Australia. For most of your guys' day, well, for most of your day in Europe, you'll still be in this Libra energy, which is about the balance and harmony. And then in the evening, the moon will be shifting into Scorpio. And then for those of you in Australia, very late in the evening into Scorpio. So for all of us, still about Libra, but there's definitely this shift. And as you can see here, about midday, for those of us in the States, the moon is going to go over Saturn. So there is a very strong, serious energy about today. It's about seeing the truth. This is what Scorpio is always about. And what we want to do with the lunar cycle, with the flow of the moon, is step into the energy. So what we want to do is step into truth and have, that transparency within self. And so if we're willing to see the truth within ourselves and within our external experiences, then we'll be in flow with this. And with our relationships as well, because it is all part of this full moon energy of Libra, which is about relationships. So it's about truthfulness, it's about transparency, it's about vulnerability, being open, starting with self first, and then naturally that will transpire into other areas. And if we're willing to do that, then it can be a positive day. Now the moon is debilitated in Scorpio, which is natural for the moon's placement because the moon likes to be secure. The moon likes to have that protection. As we can see this through the sign of Cancer. So with Scorpio, it's about exposing that, opening that, and it's not always comfortable. But again, if we're willing to, then this is a fantastic day for seeing the truth, getting deeper with relationships, having that overall transparency in everything that we do, and deeper connection. And one thing about Scorpio is it's all about our instincts. It's all about power. So we want to be coming from compassion. We want to be coming from the heart center here. Scorpio helps us see, the power dynamics and the instincts and the natural tendencies of our, quote, lower aspects of the human experience. And so the key here is to become comfortable with them, because here over the next couple of days when the moon shifts into a fucus, it's going to be about raising those, quote, lower frequencies, those lower aspects of self into the light for them to be transmuted. And then, of course, we get into Sagittarius past the galactic center, which is about expansion and taking those aspects of self and transforming them into higher frequencies. So the important thing here is that we're open, we're willing to see the truth today. And with that Saturn energy, maybe there are some things we got to do, some things that we got to take seriously today. It might be work related or something like that, or it might be relating to your goals or something else of that nature. But in either case, this can be a day of hard work, but we want to work with it. We want to put in that discipline today, that pragmatism, and if we do, then we'll again be in flow with this whole lunar transit. So that's the overall energy. Let's go and look at the aspects for today. Whoops. Let me go ahead and pull up the aspects for those of us in the United States. All right, so we have midday, that conjunction with Saturn. Now there's one aspect about today which is very empowering, actually. With all of this energy in Scorpio, the secondary ruler of Scorpio, Pluto, is trining up to the sun. So I think we are going to be willing to see the deeper elements. I think we're at least supported if we do. The trine is always a supportive element, and Pluto is about the truth. It's about power. It's about the raw, elements of life, all these things which are about Scorpio. And so we're supported when we do. So I think all in all today, it is going to come easier than, say, if this transit was not there. And this is a very, very powerful transit. The sun, which is our vital life force energy and our focus, with Pluto helps us see things very clearly. Again, it helps us see the truth, helps us get a very good, strong focus and intent on what we're working on for the day. And if there's any type of changes, to make change. And I don't think change is the biggest factor as much as it's using this strong power and intent to focus into whatever our goals are, which is all part of this whole lunar cycle of Aries. So that's going to be midday for those of us in the States. Then later on, we're going to have this moon opposing up to Mercury So I think here, maybe there's some day-to-day activities, maybe there's some things we're thinking about which seem opposed to how we feel. Maybe we feel one way and we're thinking another way, or we have different, things going on that are very different. Because Mercury over here in Taurus, there's a lot of this activity, a lot of this daily stuff going on, especially in the material side of things. And then our emotions are going to be wanting to, get deep and raw, or at least that's what's going to be happening. So the key here is, while wanting to get open and vulnerable and into the scorpionic energies, it's about seeing and bringing in the intellect into the equation. So in other words, we want to work with both energies together in harmony. That's what the opposition is always about, is that these two things actually aren't opposed. Taurus is about the material enjoyments, and Scorpio is about the deeper elements of life. So a big, plus of today is that we want to bring in the intellect. We want to think. If there's anything that we're having to do, today practically on a day-to-day level, it's to work with it, to take the conscious action, to bring that into perhaps these deeper experiences or deeper feelings that we have, or deeper concerns that we have throughout the day. So all in all, finding that balance between these two. And if you are feeling that opposition between thoughts and feelings, it's bringing conscious awareness and observation in the present moment to both of these areas, and then seeing them for what they actually are, which aren't opposed at all, actually. So that could be helpful also. So this is the transit chart for the U.S. I've wanted to get more specific for those of you in other parts of the world, so you have the accurate information here as well. For those of you in Europe, this is your chart. There still is going to be that square up to Jupiter today for most of the day for you, at least in the early part of the day. So again, expand, but it will take that constructive energy to do so. You've got that transit over Saturn and that scorpionic energy. All that's happening later in the evening for you. And all day you do have the sun trining up to Pluto, which is that strong intent and strong focus. Now, for those of you in Australia, as you can see, most of the energy here is of yesterday, and that's why I recommend for those of you in Australia to watch the previous day. But I'm going to be covering the 5th for you here. Still very much about this Jupiter taking that constructive energy, and this moon opposing up to Mars midday. That's going to be the big highlight for those of you in Australia. This is going to be about making sure that you're not, getting too aggressive, I want to say, but too intentful, too active. You want to make sure you bring in, again, that discipline, that balance between other, which is the moon energy in Libra for you, and self. So in other words, the classic example of balancing what your intent is with your relationships or what's going on outside of yourself. And then in the evening, very late evening, you'll probably feel a lot of the stuff I've been talking about. All right, so all in all, I think today is a very powerful day. I think we want to harness this energy, in the most constructive way possible. And that's exactly what Saturn's been showing us. And Saturn's retrograde, so we're rethinking about this. We're relearning how to be constructive with the very powerful elements of life, with the deeper side of things. And so today we have an opportunity to do that. It can be very powerful, it can be very constructive. We're still in this lunar energy of Aries, which is constructively moving towards our goals and our ambitions. And that trine up to Pluto can really help us focus this power that we can have today towards maybe some of these goals or intentions that we've set over the past couple of weeks. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day. If you're new to this form of astrology, do check out masteringthezodiac.com. Also, if you'd like a personal session, I want to thank you all very much for all of your support, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.